Welcome to Bunny Hugs and Mental Health, the podcast that deals with all things mental health. We talk to professionals, survivors, and loved ones about their sometimes informative, sometimes uplifting, and sometimes tragic stories. I'm your host of the show, Todd Rennebaum, advocate, recovering addict, experienced sufferer of depression and anxiety, and author of the children's book, Sometimes Daddy Cries. Hello and welcome to another episode of Bunny Hugs and Mental Health. I am Todd Rennebaum, and this is also the Saskatchewan Podcast Network. Why don't you go to SaskatchewanPodcastNetwork.com and find yourself all types of wonderful podcasts from all over the province. My guest this week is Skyler Anderson. He's an artist, an actor, a playwright, and a director, and just an all-around great guy. And he's going to talk to me about his anxiety, OCD, parenting while having these issues. I can relate a lot with what he's saying, maybe everything he's saying actually. And anyway, before we listen to that, I'd just like to thank Vince Oliver, Chelsea Stonechild, JC Don Duttenhofer for all their wonderful comments and questions and things that they have sent me throughout the week. And one more thing, I'd like to remind people that on August 28th, I'm doing a live book reading and book signing at Penny University Bookstore, which is 3104 13th Avenue, phone 639-571-2186. And you can also go on their website, pennyu.ca, and you can order books, not just my book, whatever book you want, on their website there. Just a reminder, my book is called Sometimes Daddy Cries. It's a kid's book. So what on the 20th, why don't you go there and bring your kids and listen to a little story and, talk some mental health. Okay, maybe one more thing. You should go to Neutral Ground Artist Run Center on 1835 Scar Street in Regina. I have a friend who's got an art show going on right there right now, Patrick B. Fernandez. It's on from August 20th to September 18th, and go check out his artwork. And you know what? You should even buy some because it's really, really amazing. Okay, so I feel like I rushed through a bunch of that, but I'm really excited about this interview and want you to listen to it. Got all the thank yous, got all that out of the way. So, without further ado, I give you Skyler Anderson. I realized I had anxiety when I was like 17, but I've had it since I was like 7.
Yeah, me too. Like I noticed having it, looking back, now that I know what, the anxiety symptoms and stuff are, I definitely had them since like basically my whole life. But I had my first anxiety attack in 2015, and then it's been pretty consistent ever since then. Yeah.
So when you were a kid, what was the anxiety like?
Worrying about something, worrying about getting in trouble. It's always worrying. We're always worrying too about my health. And that is still like to today, especially with like
your physical health.
Yeah. Stomach bugs, heart problems kind of run in my family and the men. So I'm always worrying about getting a heart attack or something, which isn't helping.
So when you were younger, did you have obsessive thoughts about it?
Yeah.
Because I've been doing a little research. That could also be some OCD.
Yeah, definitely that too. Yeah. Yeah, there is some of that in me too. Little, tics. Not really tics, but I've always constantly tapped my foot all the time, and it's just something that I always do now. Or when I'm driving, I do this weird thing where I look from side to side at the grasses on the other side of the road. I don't know, and I've done that since I was a kid, where other friends would make fun of me, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I've always done it.
Yeah. Go on.
Well, okay, I'll tell you about the first the first anxiety attack that was that was when I was officially I don't know, like my doctor said, no, that's an anxiety attack. So that's the first time I was aware of it, which really became like, I suffered with it for a good probably 6 to 9 months, with like constant anxiety problems trying to figure out how to navigate it. But I remember being super excited that day. I had an 8:30 class, and I was newly back at university from like a 5-year break, and went back, and I was invited to I hadn't had a friend in a long time, so I made a friend, and his partner invited me to a surprise birthday party. And she said, it's going to be a potluck, so make something. So I got all excited, and I remember I went to the grocery store right after my class, got stuff to make some black pepper chicken, and then I got a big ice cap because I had an 8:30 class, so I was really tired. So I crushed that ice cap, and I remember I was sitting at the library with my kids, waiting for the time to go down to when I had to start cooking and go to the birthday party. And I was super excited, like a little kid going to a birthday party. And I don't even know, I was 25, I think. And when I was sitting there reading, I was reading a book to my kids, and my heart like started racing, and it didn't stop. And I was like freaking out. And then we got home, and I told my partner at the time what was going on, and she wasn't the kindest person, and I called 811, and they said that, like, they told me to check it, and I was like feeling fine. I like would check my heart rate, which ends up being something that I do all the time now. I'm always keeping an eye on my heart rate, and I ended up like really freaking out and driving. I left, and I picked up my mom, went to the doctor's office, thought I was having a heart attack, and then went in, and then went to the doctor, and the doctor checked me, and he said, no, it's an anxiety attack. And then he said, like, I think it's like 70% of heart attacks are actually anxiety attacks, or not actually heart attacks. And told me that it was normal, and wanted to prescribe me some anxiety medication. They went through that list, it's like, what's like 10 questions, and from 1 to 10, how you're feeling, how much it's affecting you. And my number is usually like 0, or it's really, really high. There's never like an in between. And I never ended up taking the medication. I thought, no, I can get through this. I'll use like a traditional medicine, like indigenous traditional medicine, or I'll try. And now that I know what it is, I can try and do it. And that's been something I've been trying to stay with. And even now, when I go to the doctor worrying about whatever it is, as soon as they tell me anxiety, it's like, oh no, that's anxiety. I'm like, okay. And it's like, it eases my anxiety, knowing that it's just anxiety, and I'm not dying, I'm not having a heart attack or whatever I'm worrying about.
So it's almost like hypochondriac.
Yeah. Yeah, he said it's like it's all about my health. Like I have a health anxiety. So I'm worrying about, like my dad got diagnosed with bladder cancer a few years ago, and then I started feeling problems in my bladder, but it wasn't like, I don't know what it was. So, but I went and got all the tests and everything, and ended up being fine. And then finally the doctor was like, you know what, I think it's just anxiety. And then when he told me that, I was like, fine. Where I was like making it all up in my head. It's like I make myself sick from worrying so much. Or I worry about my stomach. Like I worry about, especially about my stomach. Like if someone throws up, I'll be really worried about getting a stomach flu or something. And that actually kept me from, because I got food poisoning like 3 times in a row within like 3 months. One time, so this was quickly after I was like diagnosed with anxiety. that ended up turning me into like a anorexic for a bit, like, and border, like almost bulimia. Like I remember I was almost gonna start, like, after I would eat, like I wouldn't eat because I was worried I was gonna get sick. It didn't help that there was a is like a norovirus pandemic at the university at that time. So that was like, okay, I have it, and I didn't have it, but I was swearing I had it, and I didn't go to school for like 2 weeks during that time, and all I would eat was I would fill up like a little cup of dry cereal, and I would that's the only thing I thought I could safely like digest. And then even after that cup, I'd be like, oh my god, I shouldn't have ate that, now I'm gonna get sick. And I was really close to like going and sticking my finger down my throat to make me throw it all back up. And it kept me from fast food for like at least a year. Like I didn't go to any fast food or anything, which ended up being really good for my health, and I lost a lot of weight, but it wasn't the healthiest way.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah.
So it's almost like you had OCD, which then, of course, OCD triggers anxiety.
Yeah.
It basically is anxiety, OCD, because you obsess about whatever. Then it almost turned into an eating disorder.
Yeah.
And then and then there was depression in there too?
Yeah. I've been noticing a pattern with when I have some severe anxiety or an anxiety attack, usually like a week or two after, I'll get like a heavy hit of some depression. I get the blues for about a week until I can pull myself out of it. But I notice it's when I have anxiety. And I get IBS. I get irritable bowel. And all of my anxiety, both good and bad anxiety, all goes to my stomach. Like if I hear some bad news, it goes right to my stomach. On the other side, like, because I'm an actor, if I'm gonna have a show, it's all in my stomach. Like I'm all excited there. So I got IBS, and so I notice like I'll have an anxiety attack, and then for the next week I'll have IBS, and then the week after I get about a week of depression till I can pull myself up. But yeah, that depression got pretty dark. I can't think of the year. It was about a year before COVID hit, so probably like 2019. I wasn't doing very well with school. I was thinking of like quitting, and then I was thinking of I was having a hard time with the mother of my kids, with like handling that. She took me to court, which she didn't win, but she took me to court and ended up winning in my favor. But the whole process and everything was really tough. And then girls I was seeing were being really not nice, and so I had a really dark bout of, and it was all like around Christmas time, and I was kind of I forcibly made myself alone. Like that was part of my depression. I don't want to be around anyone, so I remember being like
isolating.
Yeah, I was isolating myself. Yeah. I know, like I'm looking like, and in the moment I'm like, I'm all alone, I have no one. But like there was a bunch of people who wanted me there at Christmas who I just said no to. So it got pretty dark there. I was getting some pretty dark thoughts, but because I have my kids, they save me a lot of the time, right? They've totally 100% saved me. That includes when COVID hit, and I locked myself in a room basically for the first 2-3 months of COVID, and would only pull myself out of my hole when my boys would come over. So when my boys were there, then I had to like perform, like then we would be outside in the backyard, we would be playing games, keeping ourselves occupied. So they definitely saved me for sure.
Yeah, your story sounds very similar to mine, from the stomach issues and everything. Like when I was a kid, I was diagnosed with a stomach ulcer in like grade 5. Like that's an old man disease. But I worried so much that I gave myself an ulcer. And then you worry about your stomach issues, or you worry about your IBS or whatever, and then it just makes it worse, and it's like this shitty cycle that just never ends. And then when you were in depression, did you ever feel like you thought less of yourself because of your anxiety? It's like, man, I couldn't even like, like I can't even do anything because my anxiety sucks so hard. Like other people can do it, why can't I?
Yeah, no, totally. Especially with traveling. Like, so before I had a car accident, I think in 2019 also, but
busy year.
Yeah, and which also 2019 should have been a really good year. That's when I did Making Treaty 4. I was in care right after. So 2 performances with the Globe Theatre that I should have been really happy about, but I was still like, I couldn't wait for both of them to be over. And then a week, like not even like 3 days after I wrapped In Care, I had a car accident, which ended up being like the cop said it was my fault. Everyone's telling me it's not when I explain it, but that also gave me some major PTSD that I'm still working on. I am getting better at it, but I am still working on it. But even before that, I was always a timid driver and not a good passenger. Like I don't know why, and I'm not a good flyer. I panic before I'm going to go in the air, but I think I'm scared of heights, so that's probably that. And I'm also not too good on a boat, but I like normally.
You're scared of widths.
Yeah, I'm scared of it just being. Yeah, when I'm walking, I can control that.
Right.
But so I just don't. I just don't like. I don't know. Well, since my car accident, I don't trust people to obey the law. Like I don't trust other drivers to do what they're supposed to, which I think makes me a better driver now. Like my eyes are on everything when I'm driving. But yeah, so throw some PTSD in there now, and yeah, I got a whole mix of stuff. But I know when I have so because I'm an actor, I want to travel and do stuff. I want to travel and go and work over here, and I have turned down some roles and some opportunities because I'm afraid of traveling, and that's hard for me. So now I'm trying to get over it, especially with COVID making me stay. I'm like, through COVID, I'm like, you know what? I need to travel. When this is over, I'm gonna travel no matter how scared I am or not. Like I'm just gonna do it. So that is still part of my plan. Like I'm still thinking about traveling and where I want to go and what I want to do. But yeah, for sure. Like, and also I've also had like I end up with some really poor partners and that aren't the most compassionate, and I end up they're really hard on me with my anxiety. Like to them, most of them, the anxiety's been it's a big downside, something for them to poke me with. Yeah, they like to jab me with it, like judge me about my anxiety and being afraid and stuff, and yeah, so it's tough.
So some of that self-pity or you beat yourself up is because of like the travel thing you mentioned was like, so then when you turn down a role, it's like, fuck, I'm such a fucking loser. Why can't I just get on a plane and this is my passion, this is what I want to do, but it's such a chick of shit, I can't do it.
Yeah. And it's really hard. Like
I'm not calling you a chick of shit. No, like, no. I just know that voice too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's really like it'll ease my anxiety when I say no. When I say no and turn it down, it eases my anxiety immediate, like right in the moment.
Yeah, it's like, I made a decision, okay.
Now I don't have to worry about it, I can relax. But then that date comes, and I think like I should be here right now. I shouldn't be in my house. I should be doing something. I would be doing something fun right now if I wasn't scared. And the one time that I did say yeah to flying, I went to Toronto with 2 good friends of mine. Our plane left at like, I don't know, I think like 6, and at like 2:30 I couldn't do my work. I was supposed to be working at a festival, and I couldn't do my work, and I needed to like go to a room. I went to the smudge room at the university, and I lit a huge smudge, and I was like praying and like asking, like I was crying, and I was like, I'm so freaking scared. I am so scared. I don't know if I can do this. And I was like having an inner battle with myself because I really wanted to go. And I knew that if I stayed home, I was going to hate myself. Like I was going to see my friends posting and having all this fun stuff, and I know that I should be there. And it was so hard for me to give in, for me to do it. And I remember I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And then I went to go finish the festival, finish working, and I was just an ass to everyone, but I needed to get through the day, to get onto the plane. And I remember even we were going for a conference, and I knew that the conference, I knew a bunch of people there. So I remember I messaged on the group chat. I'm like, we're at the airport. I'll see you in a few hours. And I remember that scared me. That was scary. I'm going to be in Toronto in a few hours. But I also remember when we landed, not even when we landed, when I could see the buildings, and I thought, if we crash, I'll make it. If we're at a height now, if we crash, I'm probably not going to die. And
you probably would have.
Yeah, but it made me feel better that I could see the ground really closely. And at that moment, I remember feeling like invincible. I felt I was so brave. I felt liberated. I felt and I remember the taxi driver driving really, really fast. And normally that would freak me out, but I didn't care, because I just climbed Everest in my head. So I could have done anything. Yeah, I remember being really happy there. Then I got food poisoning that night, but I was really happy landing on the plane. Yeah.
So did that win, that didn't fix it forever?
Well,
you've turned down roles since then?
One of them traveling? I did. One of them I did turn down one after that. I think the following, I did turn one down, but that one was as I have my kids here, so I can't I can't really go. And now that they're getting older, it is easier for me to go, right. And it's easier for them to come with me, especially now that my one son is really interested in theater. So it is easier now to be away from them, and it's easier for me to take them with me, now that they're older, and they don't need that 24/7 constant watching. They're old enough now to look after themselves. If I take them to a place, they can, so it's a lot easier now. So now if I was asked to go and work somewhere for a few weeks, I would say yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So that conquering that fear that first time is
yeah.
Now, I just thought of this as you were talking about your kids. Do you ever get parent anxiety or parent guilt or I get fears?
And I am seeing anxiety in one of my kids.
Yeah, man, me too.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I'm seeing the way that they get scared before. They get scared the same way that I do. If I'm going to if I know that I'm feeling like I need to throw up, I start hyperventilating, and it makes it worse. And my one son is definitely like that. I can see this past year with COVID, my son, my youngest son, he had a terrible teacher, and it just, especially through COVID, that really made school hard for him. So I remember him when Sunday would hit and he knew he had to go to school the next day, he would do everything he could to stay, and you could just see his mood just change, worrying about the coming week. Whereas when it was Friday and he was home, it was completely different. Now we had 3 days to relax. So that's really hard, seeing it in them. So I try and do some breathing exercises with them and stuff, but they don't care, and they don't see that it helps. But I think my oldest is starting to he's starting to see that it helps sometimes, especially with his when he's getting angry, and I make him, especially he's into sports, so when he gets frustrated with sports, he's learning to breathe to calm himself down so that he can play better instead of just chucking the ball or something in anger instead. But that's tough, and I do get anxiety especially when they're up high. I hate it when they're up high doing something. I think that they're gonna fall. I get guilty the few times I've had to get angry, get a little mean with them. I still feel guilty about those. I don't think I'll ever not be guilty about that, but yeah, and they are far and few between, but still, you can't. I think it's good that I'm feeling guilty rather than not caring and doing it more. Yeah.
Yeah, my oldest son just got a job recently. He's 16, and like the anxiety. Well, all through COVID, he had bad anxiety. He was beating himself up because, well, there was nothing to do, so he just played video games all day.
Yeah.
Because we're stuck inside, we couldn't visit. So then he was beating himself up that he was like, all he was doing was hanging out in the basement playing video games. So then he wanted to get a job, but he was scared shitless to even start a resume and stuff. And so just recently he kind of fought through that and got himself a job. But it was like triggering to me. Like I got anxiety for him because I could see the anxiety in him, and then I get the parent guilt of like, oh my God, like I've passed this thing that I hate about myself onto him. And I know I shouldn't hate myself, I shouldn't hate my anxiety. I should, embrace it and live with it and whatever and all that stuff. But it's hard. Mm-hmm. And it's really hard, especially when because I'm an advocate and I have this show and whatever. But, and I'm open about it and I say all the stuff that everyone says.
Yeah.
But when I'm in the shit, I do all the wrong things. I do all the things that I tell people not to do.
Yeah.
And it's just part of it, I guess. I don't know, I beat myself up, I get anxious, into my anxiety, it's it sucks, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's exhausting. Yeah. And I get scared when I get exhausted. I have suicidal thoughts all the time, but they don't scare me. It's just, they're fleeting. It's I don't know, I can live with them, but it's when I get exhausted, then it's that's when I get scared. It's holy shit, I'm getting, life's too exhausting to live.
Yeah.
So then it makes it that much more real, and then that's kind of when I start talking to people. Are you on meds now? Or?
No, I've my anxiety hasn't been too bad. It was really bad, and I was thinking about getting on the meds, and I don't remember which ones. I remember looking it up and asking for information, but a large part of it is I get anxiety when I have to take Tylenol. I'm always worried about getting a reaction, even when I have new foods. I'm scared about having a new food, and I had an allergic reaction that almost killed me a few years ago, and since then, now I worry about, and it was to a new medication, so that I've never had to take before, and then I took it and I had a really bad reaction to it. So now I'm when I take Tylenol, I'm am I going to be okay? Am I going to make it? So
maybe
that's
you're
also
manifesting
a thing.
These things by worrying about it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'll try a new food, and what I'll do is I'll try it and I'll eat a little bit, and then I'll wait to see if my throat gets itchy or something. But now, if it's just a scratch in my throat because it's smoky outside or something, and I'm oh no, I'm gonna choke, I'm gonna my throat's closing, so then I don't try it. But yeah, it's bad. So that's a large part of why I know I would panic taking it and looking up side effects and stuff, which I probably shouldn't do. Your doctors wouldn't prescribe it if you didn't need it, or if it wasn't going to help you. So, but no, I've been pretty good with I go and see my traditional elders, and I'm really open with talking about it. I don't really have my own secrets and stuff, I have a therapist, and I see them. Okay. I haven't seen, because of COVID, I haven't been able to see them. I'm really open to therapy and talking. I'll talk about my anxiety to anyone who will listen, really. I'm really open with it. It does suck, and I do get some self, I'm hard on myself about it, but I'm still not it's me, it's who I am. So it's it hasn't gone anywhere yet, so it's just something I gotta get used to. So I'm okay talking about it. And even with my PTSD, I was scheduled to go to a group therapy session that I was really looking forward to, and then COVID hit, and it still hasn't come back on. So but I'm I could do better at exercising and eating better to ease my anxiety. I know when I was in pretty good shape a few years ago, my anxiety was at the lowest, where I remember I could like, it always happens at night too. It always gets worse at night. And that's when you're alone and no one's awake to talk to. And I remember being at a spot where I could start feeling like my heart was racing, and I was like, hey, no, that's anxiety. Go away. It reminds me of on Home Alone when Kevin is in his basement and he tells his like his furnace to shut up and it stops. Like, I remember being there and telling it to go away, and it would go away. And then
there's exercise you can do with like on-off switches too, and like, you have to visualize it and all this stuff.
Yeah, I've done that thing where you like, was it you're supposed to like look at 5 things and then touch 5 things, like that control thing. I've done that, and that has actually helped too,
to help ground you and stuff.
Yeah.
So has your therapist given you like tools and stuff?
Well, my therapist that I was seeing, he would give me like breathing stuff. So normally, and again, COVID kind of screwed that up, because do a lot of theater stuff. Normally, I'm always like working.
Theater?
Yeah, my theater stuff. My theater
I like
stuff.
That.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, whenever I'm doing that, I usually am like actively being active. You know, like moving and sweating and breathing. Like, because breathing is so important. So I am on it. But then COVID hit and I was doing nothing. So, and then also there's a killer virus out there, so that wasn't good, and there was no one for me to talk to, you know, my family, and really, if you're not like someone trained in it and you don't have it, everyone's just like, oh, well, stop worrying, and like it doesn't work like that.
It's like telling someone with depression to cheer up.
Yeah
A friend of mine told me just don't worry about it the other day, but she's a trained social worker. So anyway, she knew she was being a smartass, and I hated it. She was just doing it to bug me. I was just like, oh god. Anyway, so I have a hard time getting men on to speak like with me. Do you find other men like are surprised that you talk about it, or that, or you know guys that should talk that don't?
Oh, definitely. I actually have I don't connect well with other men because of that. I've always like connected with the opposite sex, because I am so good at talking and communicating, and that's also been like where my ex-partners are like, why do you like communicate so much? Like, it's a problem with them.
Do you mind shutting up and just being a man?
Yeah, and or suck it up or something. And no, so I'm so I've always had a hard time connecting with men, and the men that I am close with, like my friends that are males, aren't afraid to talk about stuff. They're like me, where they're also not afraid to cry, and they're not afraid to like hug other men. And like, I've been bullied by my like uncle, because there's pictures of me and my best friend, and we're hugging all the time, or or our arms around each other, or whatever it is. And so I get bullied by my uncle that I'm gay because I'm hugging my best friend. But there's nothing wrong with that. He should hug more people. And, so, and I don't care where I am if I have to cry, like I'll cry, whatever. But there's definitely, especially when I feel like I deal with death really well, which is a weird thing to say, but like when someone dies, I cry, let it all out. Doesn't matter if I'm like bawling my eyes out on the ground, like I let it all out, and then I'm good. And then my family's like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you sad? And I'm like, I let it out. I'm good. Like
I felt my feelings, and now
and now I'm okay. It's not that I don't miss them. It's not that I don't love them. It's I've done what you're supposed to do. And that came from me dealing with death so much as a kid and not dealing with it well. I remember when my favorite uncle that passed away when I was 11, and I remember crying, breaking down at the funeral. And my dad's a weird fellow. He'll cry at a commercial if it's sad, or a movie, or whatever it is. But when you need to cry, like at a funeral, he's like, you stop crying, like you cut that out, you know. So
he saves it up for commercials.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So it's weird, but and my brother is the same way, and my cousins for the most part too. But so I remember him telling me to suck it up, so I did, and it screwed me up. It was like poison inside, and I remember the next couple of funerals I didn't cry, and it really screwed me up as a kid. And that was the first time I went to like therapy. My mom sent me with a grandmother of mine, Brenda Dubois, and she works really well with kids, and she got me to open up, and I remember she would get me like coloring, and I would open up to her and talk about things, and it really kind of alienated me from my family because I didn't like cry, and it became a hard thing. But then I think it was, now I was old, probably like 10 years later. Yeah, 10 years later, I was 21, and my grandpa passed away. And I remember he passed away, and I was like, you know what? No more hurting. I'm just going to cry. And I remember at the funeral, I was like bawling the whole funeral. I was a pallbearer. And I remember all of my mean aunties, my aunties that like wouldn't give me, like, I have an auntie who I wave to like every day, and she never like, she just goes, hey, whatever, you know, like, and I remember I got the best hugs from all of my mean aunties, which I was really surprising. They were like so nice in that moment, where then there's my dad and my uncles are like, hey, you cut that out now. But I was like, to hell with you, I'm crying, I'm letting it out. And then I was okay, you know. That's so I learned that from that. And I look at crying and talking, you know, like talking it out and crying, I look at it like when you get food poisoning, that poison's in your stomach and it needs to get out, so you throw it up or you poop it out, whatever. But crying and talking is the way to get that poison stress that's in you. That's how you let it out. Yeah. Right. So I look at it like that. I've just got some stuff in me that has to come out. So I blab and blab and blab, which also is something that I do when I'm anxious about something. I usually start talking, and it's hard for me to stop. I talk through it. Even on the plane, I was talking to anyone who would listen, telling them, hey, this is my first time on a plane, I'm sorry, and like apologizing, like I'm gonna be talking the whole time, but I'm sorry, but this is why. It's because I'm freaking out. But,
can I get a new seat?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we have a lot of similarities. Yeah. It's like I'm the same way. Like I'm really close with my sister. I'm really close. Like all my best friends are women.
Yeah.
For the most part, I do have some male friends, but again, they are what's the saying? Emotionally intelligent kind of too, right? Which makes it tough sometimes. Living in a small town, Saskatchewan, it's like I don't really talk to anybody around here. It's like I have my 3 close friends, and that's it. I don't have like a big friend group. And I don't know. Was there more you want to say about crying? I really like this. I like this subject matter, how it turned into crying, because she's seen me cry. At work, I went to my boss's office and just started bawling. I didn't mean to. I went in there to talk to her about having anxiety, and I think I was more like going to warn her, like, hey, I haven't been feeling great, and I have depression, anxiety issues, and then I'm like, next thing you know, like I'm picking my snot off the floor because I'm crying so hard. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I don't have a lot of experience with death myself, and I was really nervous about. Well, I had a grandpa that died, you know, like people like that, but I was really nervous about the first time that I had someone close die. And this May, our dog died, and like he was like my you know, like I don't know, it sounds weird, but it's my dog, and I fucking love the shit out of him. And I did the same thing. I thought, oh my god, like I'm gonna be in the hospital, I'm gonna snap, I'm gonna be back to the psych ward, I don't know what the hell's gonna happen. And as a family, actually, we all just like for 2 days, we looked like zombies. We just cried our eyes out and whatever, and then I was like, maybe I can deal with death all right. Like I guess maybe that's one bonus of being emotional is I can handle death okay. It's funny that you said that. I was like, anyway,
Yeah, it's funny. She's seen me cry too. And
we have a friend here, yeah. Allison. She's listening to our conversation.
Yeah. And it's fun. We were at a movie, and there was a little girl on that movie, and we knew this movie was gonna get emotional. And I remember saying, like, in the movie, I was like, if something happens to that little girl, I'm not gonna make it. And then something happened to that little girl, I was like bawling. What's that?
Wizard of Oz?
No, it was but it was a good movie. But I remember I was bawling like really bad. And,
you've seen us both cry.
Yeah. Yeah. And I worry about my kids because I struggled with death, like dealing with that as a kid. I'm happy that my kids are, have so far been lucky and haven't had to deal with a close death. I was unlucky and had to deal with a ton of close deaths as a kid. So I worry for them, but I mean, they're not going to have a dad that tells them to stop crying. I'll tell them to cry, and they've seen me cry with death. I know, like, I had an uncle who passed away at the start of COVID, who they weren't really close with, but they knew him, and they saw me cry. When I heard about it, I cried, and then I was fine. And then I cried again at the funeral a little bit, but I'd already cried it all out with them. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, I kind of feel embarrassed about it sometimes, but like when Kobe Bryant died, because I'm a basketball player and I've loved NBA and everything since I was small. So when Kobe Bryant died, I bawled, like I cried hard, and my kids saw that, so I'm hoping that they learn from that and know that it's okay. It's okay for them to cry when that happens. So I worry for them struggling, but I'm hoping that they can learn from me and that they won't. So I'm hopeful, but yeah, it is scary to think of them hurting that way.
Yeah, definitely. And my wife is very emotionally intelligent too, and yeah, she's a good coach she's just a good mother and a good person that way. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but she encourages emotions.
Yeah. I
remember being a kid, and it was like every time we came to Regina, like my grandparents lived in Regina, we lived in Head. Every time we came to Regina for the weekend, it seemed like for a couple of years, I always had really bad stomach, like my my ulcer acted up.
Yeah.
I was having travel anxiety, visiting anxiety and stuff. And I remember my dad like getting super frustrated with me, and him like, God damn it, this is the last time we're bringing this goddamn kid to the city, I'm sick of it. And so I tried to, suppress it and stuff too, and then it did make it better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's common for me to like not eat when I'm traveling, or if I'm like
do you ever get
at an event.
Or
oh yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's calm. Yeah. Cause that's where I hold all my anxiety and stress is in my stomach. So if I'm at like if I'm at a big function, even at a big event, I often won't eat there because number one, I'm not hungry, but it's because I'm like, all of my anxiety is there. So it's usually when I come home, like, that trip to Toronto I took, I think I ate once when we landed, got sick, and then I ate once before we left, and and I was there for like 3 or 4 days, so I only ate like twice the whole time. I wasn't hungry, like I didn't feel like I wasn't like dehydrated, and I didn't feel like that, so I thought I was okay. But when we landed in Regina, that's the first thing I needed to do. I was like, okay, I'm starving, I need to go and eat. And that's what we did. We dropped off our bags and went to a pig buffet because I was hungry, I was starving. So yeah, so it's common for me to not eat.
Do you think when you did eat and you got sick, you said it was food poisoning, but is it possibly just...
It totally could have... Well, actually, I would say it could have been, but me, my friend Pete, and 2 girls that we went to go eat with, we all got sick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, me and Pete were in the hotel room taking turns going to the bathroom. Yeah. So it wasn't just me. I mean, he ate later on that day, and I didn't. So that was because of anxiety. But
so it prolonged a thing.
Oh yeah, like I wasn't feeling sick. I just wasn't hungry. Right.
I remember doing that too, like traveling and stuff like that too, and like I used to play the pipe band, Fraser pipe band when I was a kid. We'd travel and play parades and do all this shit, and it was like, again, I'd make a scene, like everybody was like, "What the hell's wrong with your little brother?" To my brothers, I was like, Yeah, so that I did the same thing. I'd stop eating, but I don't know, for some reason I kind of grew out of it.
Yeah.
For about the last 10 or 15 years, I've gone on some trips and stuff, and I don't know. I don't know if it's because I'm on the pills or or if it's I've have anxiety tools that people have given me or what.
Yeah.
It is a lot easier to travel and live without it because. One major trip I took about 10 years ago. Actually, it was exactly 10 years ago. I was so worried about getting constipated.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't eat, and I don't know what the hell. I don't know why anxiety gives me constipated. It's either it gives me constipation or diarrhea.
Yeah, exactly.
And I remember being in the airport in Toronto on our way over to Europe. And it was like I forced myself to poop in the airport. It was like every day I would make a conscious effort. You're gonna sit down and you're gonna poop. It was like I was having anxiety about pooping.
Yeah.
And then it was, I think it was after that trip that I kind of never worried about it again after traveling. Yeah. It's like you have to break through that anxiety one time and then it's...
Yeah, totally. Actually, that reminds me, I used to be scared of storms when I was a kid. And why I was scared of storms is because my mom is scared of storms. And my mom is still scared of storms. So I would see her freak out when a storm was coming. And then just naturally follow my parent and freak out too. Yeah. And then I was at camp and a big storm was coming. And I was so tired from camp. I was like, I'm too tired to worry. And I remember I went to bed and slept through in a tent and slept through the whole storm. And I woke up and I remember waking up like, that wasn't so bad. And I wasn't scared of storms ever again. You just got to kind of get through that one thing.
So do you think, did you have any trauma as a kid that maybe caused some of this anxiety? Like, especially like the fear of physical ailments?
I'm not sure. Like, I know, like, me worrying about taking medication is definitely from that allergic reaction that I had. I know my fear of driving has been, like, exponentially heightened from that car accident. But maybe, like, I know I worried about, I had an accident as a kid where... I don't remember it, and part of the like surgery to fix it, I remember my mom saying that the doctors were really mean to me. So I remember, like, since then, for as long as I've known, I've always been scared of the dentist because it was a mouth surgery. So that is definitely like part of it. So maybe, but I don't really remember. Like, other than that, I was never really had to stay in the hospital that I remember. Yeah, so I don't know if there is. I don't know.
A loved one died of some physical ailment, so then you're like, oh my god.
Well, that's why I worry about, like, my dad and my mom's dad both had heart attacks. So I worry about my heart because of that. But both of my grandfathers have lived to 86, so I'm kind of like, why are you worrying? You know? Yeah. Yeah, so like my dad's dad passed away when he was 86. My mom's dad is 86 now. So if he passes away at 86 and then my dad lives to 86, I'm sure I'll worry at 86. That'll be my time because it's funny. My mom, it's not funny, but my mom's brother, two of her brothers passed away at 41. One of them was from a brain aneurysm. The other one was from a car accident. And drinking and driving. And because they were both at 41, when my mom and her other brother passed 41, I remember they were scared for all of 41. So I kind of think, I'm sure I'll have anxiety when I'm 41. Yeah. So
it's like the rock star at age 20, the 27 club.
Yeah.
Were you bullied when you were younger?
Yeah. I was actually bullied by the friend group that I wanted to be friends with. Like, I made a whole show about this. So if
you made a show about it?
Yeah, I wrote a show for it recently. I performed it in June. Yeah, and it was all true stories and stuff. But that's what the story is about. Is me like I went when I was in like kindergarten to grade 3. All of my friends at the school I was at were all about grades and stuff. And then I came to this to the Glencairn neighborhood in Regina, and it was a lot rougher of a neighborhood, and I got bullied right away because I was the color of my skin, and so I wanted to be friends with these other boys who were also First Nation, and they were tough, so I needed to like toughen up really fast, and it was hard for me to like keep up with them. Like, I wasn't as tough as they were. I was a crybaby, and I was all about my grades, and I was all about school, where they were roughhousing, and they had no problem fighting. So trying to keep up with them was really hard for me, like changing who I was from this little kid who was, and I was always told I was a crybaby because my feelings would get hurt pretty well, which is still a thing. I like, what is it, like that saying that you wear your heart on your shoulder,
on your sleeve.
On your sleeve. Yeah. That's I've always been like that. I'm still like that. So yeah. So it's hard not to, and words have always hurt me more than getting beat up. I've been beat up a bunch of times, or I've been into a bunch of fights, and I would take a punch in the face more than some sharp words from someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always been like that.
Yeah. I remember Mom telling me sticks and stones may break your bones.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
But names will never hurt you. I'm like,
yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
This sucks. This is all I'm thinking about for like weeks.
Yeah.
Got hit with a rock and heels in a day.
Yeah.
Being Indigenous.
Yeah.
Is any of your anxiety, depression, any of that, do you think is cultural based or intergenerational stuff?
Definitely intergenerational. I know my dad and my grandparents are all residential school survivors, so there is definitely some loss of culture and practices that I'm sure would help with that. So I do seek I haven't had to seek out help traditionally for my depression yet, but I know I can. I just haven't needed it yet. And for my anxiety, though, I have sought out traditional medicines for it, and there is. So and it is it's becoming more and more common. So the elders that I've talked to for help are really open to talking about it, and I've actually been told to dance, that would help me heal, which if you look dancing, that's an activity, part of it is making the outfit. So there's a bunch of positives that definitely would help with my anxiety, taking the cultural side out of it, just being active, making something and all that stuff. So
right.
Yeah, and feeling good about it. Yeah, so that's on my radar to do. But
will drumming help?
Probably singing too. I haven't been told to do that. I've thought about it, but I've never. When I was a kid, my family a large number of my family are traditional or champion powwow dancers and singers. So it was always a chore. I never wanted to go. I never wanted to go to the powwow. If I was bad and I was grounded and I was bored, I would have to sit and bead with my mom and help fill. So it was always a chore when I was a kid. I never really wanted to. Now I wouldn't mind it. Plus, it would also help me for my Indigenous theater career, because we're always looking for singers and dancers. So it definitely would get me more gigs and stuff if I knew how. So I've thought about it for that, and I have tried. So I think it's in my future. I will try dancing. I don't know about singing, but dancing for sure. I will definitely try. Maybe not I won't hop on the powwow trail and go to every single one, but
right.
It would be nice to go to the the close one, the local ones, and yeah, that would be good. And I'm sure it would help, just being active and stuff and being in that community definitely would help. And that's actually, it's funny, something that I wasn't expecting was when I went to my doctor and my therapist, they both recommended me play video games to help with my anxiety. And no one, I've talked to other people about it, and no one's I've never heard that before. Like, it's not a thing. But I remember both my doctor and my therapist, who's also a doctor, like, they both recommended me play video games. So I never bought them because I didn't want to shell out $500 on something and then another $100 every time there's a new game and stuff. And it was just too much. And I had games for my kids and I would play with them, but that was their game. So I did end up, they talked me into it, and I went and got a console and play some games, and they really, really help. Like, when I'm having anxiety, and it helps with my like, it gets you centered on a goal, like
Right.
really achievable goals that you can do. It's like an escape. It's also like the stories that are on there. I think video games are now, like, some of the stories they have are like, they're better than movies. And
Right.
yeah, so it's like,
Well, you get
it's-
hyper focused in it, so then
Yeah.
you're distracted from hyper
whatever.
focusing on something stupid.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, I have cancer in my stomach.
yeah, and yeah, so instead now I'm focused on this game. So that's actually helped. And I don't play it often, but if I'm having anxiety, it's good. Like, I was on a COVID isolation for 2 weeks in my bedroom, and that was hard. And a large number of that time was me playing video games to get out of this scary situation, wondering every day if you're gonna wake up sick. Yeah, so it was a good way to help me get through that. Yeah.
Interesting that they offered something addicting.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't have any other addiction. It's not like you have addiction issues or anything, is it?
No, I think I've been, because of how I grew up, like, and actually that was I still get bullied for it today, because I've never ever tried smoking or getting high. That's because my mom's a heavy smoker.
What?
Yeah, my mom's a heavy smoker,
You
and
haven't
I've
lived.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
and I've grown up with drugs and alcohol really close. Like, I've had a large number of my family are like drug users, and a large number of basically the majority of my family are alcoholics. Like,
Right.
so I've
That's
seen the damage.
intergenerational
Yeah, exactly.
stuff again.
Yeah, so I've seen the damage that it's done. I have tried alcohol, but I tried it once in high school, and I tried it because those friends that I wanted to be friends with, they said, either you drink or you don't. Like, don't be friends with us anymore. So I tried it and hated it. I remember getting really angry, and I wanted to go and, like, I don't remember being drunk, and I remember everything from the night. So I don't know if I did, but I remember I'm not an angry person, like, in general. It takes a lot for me to get really mad. And I remember just for no reason wanting to fight one of my best friends. I just wanted to fight. He didn't do anything. He just walked by. But I remember wanting to get up and fight him. And then when I stood up to go and fight him, I thought that, like, it snapped me back, and then I left. And then told the guys, I'm not going to, if you don't want to be friends with me because I won't drink, then I guess we're not friends. And then I ended up not being friends with them since. But even to today, as an adult, I don't go to bars. I don't think I've ever been to a nightclub as an adult. But even now, if I go and someone asks me for a drink or something and I say no, it usually triggers and not just, oh, okay. It's like, it triggers a violent response for some reason, where adults are like trying to take me outside to fight because I won't drink alcohol with them. Like, I don't understand. Like, I'll get a Coke, whatever, like, get me a Sprite, we're good. But no, they need me to, like,
Their
drink.
insecurities.
Yeah, and it always comes out violently. So I just don't go around it. I get
Which bars are you
uncomfortable
going
around
to?
it.
That's
Yeah.
Maybe you're going to the wrong bars.
Yeah, that could be it too.
Yeah, I don't, like, I've been sober for almost 5 years, and you want to freak people out, not drink. Like, I've never had people want to fight me because I'm not drinking, but it freaks people out.
Yeah.
And some people, like, worry that I'm judging them because they are drinking.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't give a shit at all.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't drink. Like, I drink, I die. Like, I go ahead. Like, why are you so insecure about me not drinking? I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it either. But because when I was drinking, I didn't care if someone else wasn't drinking.
Yeah.
I was like, well, more for me. Yay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. And it's been like, you would think it would stop the older you get, but No, it's still there. That peer pressure is still there.
Are these your mean aunts?
No. Yeah.
It
No.
always comes back to mean aunts.
Yeah.
So do you have any other shows or acting gigs coming up?
Not lately. I don't think I have anything planned. I'm waiting to hear back from a grant that I applied for. If I get it, I will be creating a show with my son. It's about
Like Will Smith.
yeah, and the show is a father and son show. At the time, both of my kids told me that this was after making Treaty 4. So they came to me. They were with me through rehearsals at Making Treaty 4. They came to the show. They were with me through rehearsals in Care, came to the show, and they really loved it. And then I remember we were watching Beauty and the Beast at the Globe. And then at the end of Beauty and the Beast, when we were getting up, I remember both my boys were like, "Dad, we want to be in a play." Like, I think they meant Beauty and the Beast, like a play like that.
Right.
But that's not the kind of plays that I do. So I started trying to think of something that I could make with them. So I made this, I came up with this idea about a father and son. And the father is plagued by a monster, the Wheat-to-Go monster. And the son has an invisible friend. And his invisible friend is Wasagi Chuck. And the boy... And like in our culture, we believe that elders and kids can see like spirits and stuff. So the boy can see the monster and he can see his invisible friend. And the boy is trying to protect the dad because he sees that his dad's being haunted by this monster. And the monster is like the scenes where this monster is there are going to be moments where I've suffered from mental health around my boys, and it's always when they're asleep, and or I'm trying to get through the day, and the boy knows that when he's playing with his games, or he's playing with his toys, Wasagi Chuck's there playing with him, and he's trying to get his dad to play with him, not to like play with the boy, like not to amuse the boy. He's trying to save his dad because he knows that when he's playing, the spirit is there to protect him. So he knows that if his dad plays, the spirit was going to be there to protect him. And I'm working on a title, and I don't know if we're even going to, if we don't get the grant, I'll apply for another one. I'm going to do it at some point. It may start next month. It may start next year. Who knows? But the title I've been thinking of, there's a title in Cree, Pimusta and that means anxiety. But I found this other phrase, Mitawewin, and that means play with me. And I think that's going to be the title. And it'll be the son saving the dad from his mental health. And that's definitely what my kids do for me. Like, they don't even know how many times they've saved me. So that'll be the show. Yeah.
Cool. Playing that... I can't say the name.
Yeah.
I've tried to... I can't... Cree words, I'm just like, my mouth won't do it.
Yeah.
But that monster character, what's his name again?
Wheat-to-Go.
You played him in Making Treaty 4.
Yeah.
Do you think playing him brought some stuff
it definitely
into
did.
Your life?
It definitely did. I needed... I took on that role, number one, because I wanted to be the villain, and I wanted to be those other roles because it's as opposite of me. Like, I would never be like do the damage that priests do or whatever like that they've done, and so I knew that it was as far of a role as I could. But it ended up being like playing those roles is really hard, like on your heart and on your soul, and I figured out how to release it. Because I don't care if I cry, I don't care. I can talk it all out, I can go and do whatever. But I remember after because Making Treaty 4 at the Globe, we devised for a year. And then before we went into our 3-week rehearsal, followed by the 3-week performance, we rehearsed for a year. And then before the 3-week of rehearsal, I was in a super dark place. I was feeling haunted. I was feeling just really dark and gross and I didn't know what was wrong. And I sought out help from an elder, and they said that because I was playing this and I wasn't taking care of myself spiritually, that it was with me, that evil being was with me. So, and that not only was it with me, but it was with the cast. And I remember at the time, all of the cast were having problems. So we had the Globe Theatre allowed us to have to use the rehearsal hall space to have a ceremony, and then we actually had a ceremony, and then we smudged the entire Globe Theatre. Wherever we would be, we smudged it, and we smudged all the spaces, and I had to wear certain things on me to keep it away and protect myself. So it became part of my like so if I show up to theater, I have a 6 o'clock call time or whatever it is. I gotta warm up, and then I had to smudge, and then so it became part of my like nightly or daily pre-performance ritual, and so I just added it onto that, and it definitely playing it definitely happened. And then also that was why I wanted to do it. Like, I knew I could do it safely. I knew I could take care of myself. I wanted to protect my fellow castmates from that. So I remember telling the cast, like, I'm going to be every bad role. You know, you guys I don't want any of you to hold that. I'm going to do it. And then now, since then, I've directed a couple shows in the last couple of months, since January, and they were on Zoom, but we were doing what we could with what we could have. Mm-hmm. And there was a few actors who had to play those heavy roles, and because of my experience with that, I was able to help them get through it safely. You know, so I learned a lot playing those roles. I love the characters and the relationship that Wisaki Chuck and the monster have. So I'd love to, so this show would also be an excuse to explore that some more.
Thank you so much, Skyler. That was a really awesome night. It was good catching up with you, talking mental health with you, and just thank you so much for being so vulnerable and speaking your truth. So, and thank you, Allison, for hosting us in your lovely condo and letting us invade your space for a bit so that we had a nice quiet place to talk. Next week, my guests are Wanda and Chris Ball. On March 21st, 2017, their nearly 17-year-old son took his life, and we're going to talk to them about about parenting someone with mental health issues, and their story and his story, and how it all manifested from early childhood on right up to his death. It's a pretty heartbreaking story. This family lives about a block away from me, and I remember that day very well when it happened, and they've just been really great people to know. And they've done some mental health advocating, and we've worked together doing a few rallies and stuff. So these people are very near and dear to my heart, and so is their cause. And they're both really incredibly strong people, and so is their daughter. I just really, really appreciate their honesty and their openness and their vulnerability as well, because some families aren't when they have a loved one be taken away with suicide. They have trouble talking about it, and not this family. They've been really vocal pretty much right from the day it happened, so I really, really appreciate that. So that is next episode. So that's 2 weeks from now. I'm doing this every other week, right? So 2 weeks from now, you can hear that story. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe, rate, and review however you are listening to this podcast. It only takes a moment, and it really helps the show out with getting noticed. This episode has been sponsored by Penny University Bookstore, 3104 13th Avenue. Call 639-571-2186 and check out their online bookstore at pennyu.ca. The Saskatchewan Podcast Network is supported by Connexus. Wellness, however you define it, is achievable. You don't even need to figure it all out by yourself. Talk to Connexus. They'll give you guidance, motivation, and the push you need to reach your goals. They've got you. They're your financial partner and they know you can achieve your very best, your financial best. Prove them right. Start right at Connexus Credit Union. The Saskatchewan Podcast Network is also sponsored by Direct West. Are you a business owner looking for new avenues to promote your business? Direct West digital billboards are a great opportunity to highlight a new product, new promotion, or anything else you'd like your customers to know about. You can get local, expert marketing help for your business at directwest.com. If you are having a mental health crisis, please call the Canadian Crisis number at 1-833-456-4566. In Saskatchewan, the mobile crisis team in Prince Albert is 306-764-1011. In Regina, it's 306-525-5333, and in Saskatoon, it's 306-933-6200. Don't forget to check out my children's book, Sometimes Daddy Cries. Sometimes Daddy Cries is told through the eyes of a boy whose father suffers from depression. He sees his dad get sad, rest, and even go to the hospital, all while comparing his father's depression to a physical ailment. Available on Amazon.ca. I'll see you next time. This is Todd Redebaum saying, make your beds and take your meds. Bye.